Okay, started.
Thank you. Did I update the date correctly? All right. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. So the main topic on our agenda is 119 enhancements freeze. It is the enhancements freeze is what is it? Next Tuesday, May 19th. So we have a week to get the KEPs into implementable and merge state. One more thing that I believe the SIG architecture is asking from us is in all of our KEPs, we also include this production readiness questionnaire. I think the PR was supposed to merge. Yes, it has merged. So please update your KEPs to include the new questions that are being asked from here. Going down to our 119 status board, I think the PRs that we have in progress, I think there are some problems with recovery or retries or on failures. I think in the, what is it, the new mounter path where we create the volume metadata file. I think Hamat has been looking at this. Is Hamat here?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Yes, I was looking into that, and I'm considering that, thinking that if we know that the if we know that the volume, it has been formatted, just it has been freshly formatted and data saved, then we can remove the data file. If if we know the if it's a brownfield folder, then we cannot remove this. But that distinction is hard to make, so I'm still thinking about it, like whether it is safe to remove it. I should have some more idea by like tomorrow or something.
Also, is this file used for reconstruction?
Yes.
So I guess we can't, well, we can't remove it then if we use it for reconstruction.
Like if the mount fails, then if the mount fails, then we can remove it, right? Like then we can remove it. If the
Oh,
mount,
you're saying if publish failed, then we could remove the file.
yeah, yeah. And similarly, like if the node stage failed, then we could remove the file, because but we are like, the first problem is like, yeah, so yeah.
I guess one question I have is you mentioned right now we create this file during new mounter.
we create
Um,
we create this file when the mounter is instantiated, actually, but
yeah.
that's a separate issue, actually.
Would the problem be fixed? Could we fix the problem if we move the creation of the file to node publish instead of new mounter?
Not entirely, no. That itself will not fix that issue, because the problem that is what this user is reporting is that that like if the volume is being mounted as read only on a node, or some other thing happening for some reason, saving the data file, uh, like for some reason the save data file, that itself call itself fails, so the entire mount operation is failed, and at that point it tries to remove the file, and that is dangerous. So let's say you're trying to mount the volume on a the volume is read only, and mount is called, and it tries to write this data file. Now it cannot, because the volume is read only. And
But why? But this is Kubernetes writing the file, right?
mhm.
It doesn't write it inside of the mount point. It writes it in the directory above it.
Oh, but but it calls a remove data file that recursively deletes everything inside it. Actually, that's the
Oh, yeah,
difference.
well, it shouldn't do that,
Yeah, yeah,
right? We should only remove like the single file. We shouldn't try to remove everything under that directory.
yeah. So that's uh, at the same time though, if we, so that's simple. But at the same time, if it was a new volume mount, let's say, and the save data file failed, at that time we remove the data file. But if we left the top level directory that Kubernetes creates, then it will complain about the orphan for directories. So it has to
I
that,
mean,
yeah, we
can
could
can we remove that? Can we remove the file and then try to remove the directory? But if there's still contents inside of that directory, then removing that will fail.
yeah, we could do.
I think that's fine, as long as instead of doing remove all,
Mhm.
we explicitly remove the file, and then we explicitly remove the parent directory.
Yeah,
That should be safe.
it should be. Yeah, that should be safe. Yeah, I will comment on this then. I need to.
All right, awesome. Um, let's see. Next up, there's a couple more changes I want to make for external provisioner for this next release. I'll go ahead and ping Humble on this so we can make some progress. Next, after that, we have migrating our image publishing from Quay over to GCR.
I've not heard from IBM all of last week. I guess I'll need to ping them again. They
Okay.
want.
Do we
They
know
want.
where we were last left off at?
Yeah, we have a solution where there are multiple Docker build-X invocations for individual target architectures, and then the last invocation creates a manifest file that ties all of those together into one image that then gets pushed. And the guys from IBM think that they can combine that into a single build-X invocation that also does the pushing. And they wanted to try that approach. The other open is around versioning, because we don't get our Git repository or Git metadata copied into the cloud build server. And therefore, the current versioning approach, which is based on Git describe, fails. That is the other problem that still needs to be resolved.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. All right. Next up, we have Windows. I believe Jing is also looking at the Windows image building, both container image building and also binary image building with the new Docker X flow that's being worked on. So I think that's making progress. Other than that, I believe Windows is having its own weekly meetings, I think on Monday afternoons or so. So they're making progress there as well. Next up, we have volume health.
Yeah, so Nick has been addressing my comments. So there was one issue that is his PR does not pass CI, so I tried it out, added the .pro.sh. So I can get that passed on my PR, but that is like dependent on his. But I think so. He was trying to add that into his PR, but because he's not the admin, that does not allow him to do it. Is it okay? So just allow that to pass on my PR, but I don't know if that actually we can get that merged. Probably not, right? Can we?
Sorry, what? Why
Oh,
does
okay.
he? Why do you need to be an admin?
So the .pro.sh. So he is not admin. I'm the admin. So I created the PR on top of his, I can get that to pass CI. So, but I can't submit that ahead of time because that requires all those other folders that he has submitted. it is because it start to do the make. It was looking for the CMD and all of those things. So I can't do that ahead of time. So if I do it on top of his PR, then that means his PR would not have that pass, and then I don't think we can get that merged, can we?
Can he include your commit in his PR?
Oh, does that work? Or you mean like a dual
Like
cherry
he
pick type?
can,
Cherry
he can
pick?
just cherry pick your, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I will ask him. Okay, maybe. Okay, sure. I will ask him to do that. Okay, we could do that.
Awesome.
I think.
All
Yeah, I
right.
think that's it.
Cool. Next up is snapshots.
Yeah. I think Shang-Chen still need your review on his
Metrics
metrics
stuff.
thing. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good with that already. So and then
right.
yeah, so I updated the requeue PR. That's good now. I think I want to do a little more testing. I told Ben, so he's going to review that one. The requeue logic because he opened a bug related to that one.
Okay.
And the E2E test, I think that one is still outstanding, right? Grant, your PR E2E test.
Yeah, I'm still working on that one.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I think there is someone working on that, moving the API generated client out. So I think he has some issues with pinging me. I think still working on it. So yeah, work in progress.
All right. Awesome. Good to see all the work moving along. All right. Next up is volume expansion.
Yes, so we had a call on Thursday with CSI Community Sync. We needed some more people. James was not there. I pinged him offline, but didn't hear anything from him. I talked to Chris, the person who wanted expansion to be offline on the node, and his requirement was like he wants to call node expand volume after node stage but before node publish. That is something actually supported out of box. If a volume cannot support expansion after node publish, then it could just return that volume in use error, and Kubernetes should not call, although currently it does call, but that's fixable. But Kubernetes should not call node expand volume after if the volume in use error is thrown on the node. But his problem, another problem that he has is like PV's pod.spec.volumes, if it has a read-only flag set in the set there in the persistent volume source, and that is not passed to node stage RPC call. So at that point, when if node expand volume is called after node stage but before node publish, at that time the driver does not know that the volume is read-only. And I think that is kind of sub like that's like node state doesn't have read-only flag, and I think that's a separate issue than this one actually. So I don't know, Oji. Yeah, I
Have you seen the read-only issue that Sod opened a while ago?
I have seen it, but I haven't seen it recently. So
Okay. But basically we have like 5 different places where you can set read-only and they get passed in 5 different areas, 5 different stages, I guess. So the one, I guess there isn't, one more problem is there isn't a read-only field that currently gets passed to node stage.
yep. And so
I think, yeah.
I think that's a problem because pod.spec.volumes, if that has a read-only flag, that needs to be respected at the global mount, which typically happens at node stage time, and at that time it should be passed.
Right now, here, let me paste the link in the chat. Oh, or maybe I should put it on the screen that I'm sharing. That would be easier. Right now, pod.spec.volumes read only is passed by node publish.
Yeah. So
And we don't have anything that is passed to node stage. Currently, read-only access mode is passed into create volume. PV spec read-only is passed to controller publish, and pod spec containers read-only is passed to CRI.
yeah. So it's so to solve this thing, I think that we have a call on Thursday, by the way, and this thing needs to be a little bit talked about. So to fix this, either we'll have to pass that, because we talked about read-only handling for expansion, and and we were talking that driver should be able to figure out if the volume is read-only, but at the node stage doesn't receive it only. So at that point, the driver may not know that it is read-only. So either node stage has to receive the read-only flag, or node expand volume will have to carry the read-only. But then the question becomes which read-only it will carry. So maybe the
I
one
guess the question is does it need to be, does the node stage part have to be read-only? Because it's only the node publish that gets exposed to the container.
yes. So not strictly speaking, but because he wants to call this is he wants to call node expand volume after node stage. At that point, he needs to know if it is safe to expand the volume or not. So if node publish, so it's basically node publish is going to receive the read only flag, and node stage has not, then the logic in the driver cannot figure out that if the volume is read only.
I guess in his case, does his system not support like a global mount as writable and then individual publish mounts as read-only?
I don't know about, I don't know the answer. But even if it did, how will it, like, how
Because like
will
I would expect if say you had multiple pods on a node, some of them are writable and some of them are readable. Like how would you know which read-only to pass? Because the global mount is independent of a particular pod.
right? Yeah, global mount is independent. Yeah, so yes, could be, that's another problem. If there are two parts and they refer the same volume, one mounts a read write, another as a read only, then we have a problem. So yeah, I think that's, and if the node expand volume can be called, like let's if node expand volume can be called, should have a read only flag, then it's possible that the one pod is using the volume as read write and hence has read only false, and another pod is using read only, then has as true. So what happens in that case?
Yeah.
I think I
It's
need to talk.
possible. It's possible maybe we can use this number 3 one, the
Mm,
PV read-only field, to indicate that it should globally be a read-only volume.
yeah, but yeah, but uh,
Anyway,
do we? But we passed
some
that.
food for thought.
I'll talk to him again and ask, and we have a call, so I'll note that, and yeah. And the
All right.
oh,
go on.
no, that's all I had. And then the recovery from reside, I'm going to ping Saad and see if he had a chance to review it. And the other thing is like there are 4 issues in total. So for GA, one was the read-only handling, and then the online offline behavior, recovery from resize, and volume PVC getting deleted. So I'm like working on all of this 4.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's all we have for 119 at the moment.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Just go back to the project board. There was one issue that you talked about last time. I think this the slowness
This one
in 1.17. Yeah. So you said
yeah.
You said somebody's working on this, right? Because we also run into this issue, and it's like a blocking issue now. So I want to see you, because you said somebody's working on this.
Yes.
How soon do you think there will be a PR?
Probably within the week.
Oh, okay, that's good. Now, and another question is there any chance for this one to be backported to 1.17?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah.
This seems to be a big issue for
showstopper.
Definitely.
So it's like we cannot ship with this. Okay, so it's someone in your team working on this, you said?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, good to know that actually it's coming in a week or so. So
yeah, I'm working with them to get them up to speed.
Okay.
And hopefully this week a PR should be out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
For now, as actually, will that help? For now, as a workaround, so this bug is saying as a workaround, there's a flag you can pass to Kube Controller Manager.
Oh, where is the flag? I didn't see that.
It's somewhere in this bug. Someone mentioned there's a flag they can set. There's a flag you can pass to Kube Controller. Yeah, there's a flag you can set to Kube Controller Manager that basically increases the period that the verify volumes attached gets called. So right now it basically for every single volume every minute we do a get on the volume attachment, which is way too much. There's a flag you can set to increase that frequency to like whatever.
Okay, like 10 seconds or something.
This one, set sync period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you can set this longer.
Longer is better?
I don't know.
Is it? Oh, okay. Longer. Oh, because it's
yeah.
Okay.
So right now the problem is that it's making one get call every minute for every volume.
Okay.
So if you increase this timeout to like I don't know every 10 minutes,
1 hour or 10 minutes. Okay.
Or I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we can. This is the. Okay, I see. This is the one that Saad opened, right? Because there are several issues. Like, okay, this is on this one opened by Saad initially, right? This one you're showing here. Okay. Okay. All right. So okay, that's good.
But yeah, there's 2 different flags you can set. You can either disable the whole verify volumes attached completely.
Okay.
That will impact entry volumes too if you do that.
Okay.
So you'll have to make that call. If you only support the CSI volume, then
sure.
maybe it's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
or the
So
other
maybe
alternative is to increase the period, and that
Okay.
can be like a short-term mitigation until we get the real fix.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I will look at this too. I think there is another issue that I want to ask you. This is also
There's another issue related to someone else opened it, but I think it's the same issue.
Okay, yeah, I think I know that issue. What that issue is. I think there was another thing not related to this one, but I couldn't. I forgot the link. Maybe I will ping you later. I think there was another thing that is also been there for some time, and it seems like everybody agreed that we can fix that. And I don't see any movement, so I just want to ask.
Okay.
That we were actually thinking that whether we should look into it, and I wonder if there was someone already working on, or is there a problem that we can't fix it or something. I think it has to do with
Sure.
I need to check that again. It was like last week.
Okay.
I couldn't
Go
find
ahead
the
and
issue.
once you find the issue, ping me about it.
Okay, good. I see you and Yang were saying that, yeah, we should fix this, but then I don't.
Oh, is
know
this
what
the finalizer thing?
finalizer.
How the
I think it's like
storage protection doesn't actually protect against detach?
I'm not sure, maybe. So it has to do with something, it's like some sequence of operations. They're auto sequence and then there's a problem. Something has to do with that, I think. I need to find that. I thought I have that open, but I couldn't find it anymore. But I will ping you because we're thinking that's also something we want to see that gets fixed. If it's not too complicated, maybe we can see if we have someone in our team to look at that.
I suspect the issue you're thinking about is the one where the storage protection feature currently doesn't prevent
Doesn't work.
detach.
Oh, okay.
Well, basically, like it prevents deletion of a pod, or it prevents deletion of a volume while a pod is still using it, but it doesn't wait for detach, which means the volume can be deleted while the volume is still attached to a node.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, maybe that could be the one. So let me double check and pin you back. Yeah. Okay.
Did Jan want to say something?
No, I'm just thinking if the teacher has a finalizer, but it has the finalizer on PV, so it could be deleted. So never mind.
I think we discussed a possible solution in the issue.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that in that issue that I think I see the last comment was from Yang, I remember, and he said, yeah, it's okay to fix it, but then I don't see the, okay, so I will check.
Okay. All right. Any other topics? I think, there was one issue in the doc. This is for the test, right? Moving the driver pods to another namespace. Hamad, were you able to resolve this?
I think me and Patrick had we did not agree. It's still kind of waiting for review. So Patrick wanted, I spoke with Jan also, if you need a generic API for creating secondary namespaces. I have added one namespace called secondary namespace where the driver is installed. It's easy and it's simple because I could always assume that the second namespace is the CSI driver namespace. But if we add a generic API for creating namespaces in framework.go, then we have to we don't know which, we probably know that the second namespace in the array is the driver namespace, or we'll have to annotate it via somehow. So it's,
what if you just take the auto-generated namespace and do like a -2?
Sorry, you have to say it again.
You can take the auto-generated namespace and add a -2 to the end of it.
And yeah, and grep for it each time we have to create a or look for what is the CSI driver namespace. That's kind of I was trying to avoid. Okay, grab the string. So
yeah, longer term, I would like to not bring up drivers per test case and instead bring up the driver as part of the cluster. That way, I think that could avoid this whole thing as well.
yeah, okay. So for now, I think Patrick, you're there.
I'm here.
Yeah. So do you agree, or do you think that it's okay if we have, rather than one create secondary namespace, there's a function create namespaces, and there's a array or something that has namespaces that tracks?
That seems like a more reasonable approach. My biggest concern really was this gut feeling that having just one secondary namespace just isn't a good API. It's basically a one-time hack to get for the driver testing, but if there's one test that needs one additional namespace, there will be others that need 2 or more additional ones. So that's why I was asking for a more generic API, if it has to be in the framework itself at all. The quickest path to get this solved would be to do it outside without framework modifications, but I don't know whether that's feasible. That's really not something that I've looked into.
Yeah, the main reason was having a giving in framework.go was to basically, like I told you, like we'll have to copy the code that dumps the namespace information if the namespace deletion fails, and that's important.
Is it? Because we do this pod log monitoring. If the driver itself fails, we should have most of the information that we need. So I'm not sure how important it is to have that piece of code.
I think it has events. Is that what it
Yeah,
logs the events from the namespace?
Yeah.
But that's also what the pod logging does. It logs the output and events.
Do we do that for all CSI drivers like GC? I know that we do for.
I think we enable. Well, it's currently enabled for the test namespace, I think. And that happens to include all CSI drivers as well as the test pods. If you move the CSI drivers into a separate namespace that is under control of your test and you call podlog for it, you should still get mostly the same information.
So the pod logs, from what I saw was logging the CSI logs, like the CSI RPC logs, not the events from the pod or the PV controller.
I think it. Well, PV controller isn't running in that namespace, but it should log the pod events. So it might not log all events. I'm not sure whether there are others that are relevant.
No, I think. Sorry, Mr. Go ahead.
If the event shows up, if the event shows up in that namespace, it should get logged.
I need to look at the code. There might be filtering on. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly what event support logged code filters. It might restrict it to certain events. Let me see whether I can find that quickly. But then again, that's code that is now under E2E storage. If it doesn't do what we want, we can extend it. It was originally in the framework for the exact same reasons that Hamad brought up here, that this might be useful to others, but then the recent re-evaluation of what is in the framework pointed towards podlogs as one thing that is only used by storage tests, and that's why it was moved to the storage code.
The framework.go already has code for tracking multiple namespaces. There's already, you see, there's a framework.go has this thing like a map of namespaces that creates, and it loops through all the namespaces and deletes it. So I think what we are adding is not that.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a useful extension to the framework. I'm not doubting that. It just needs to be done in a clean way where everyone agrees that the API is useful, is generic, and I think the current code just doesn't do that. That was my only concern.
All right, so I will move this to create namespaces. I'll find out a way to tag the namespace so that we can find out that, okay, this is the driver namespace easily, and remove the secondary namespace thingy. But yeah.
Okay. Also keep in mind, I think right now test infra is in the middle of like trying to move the test framework stuff to staging.
Yeah.
So you might run into conflicts or something there.
And I just looked at this watch pods code in podlogs. It actually does, it runs a watch on pods. So it's not actually looking at events, it's looking at changes to the pod. So if a pod changes its status, its condition, that is logged, but not the events. But it sounds, that sounds like something that would be useful to add. And we could have a watch events for a namespace and emit those events as they occur right away.
Yeah, I think the current test framework right now sort of logs all the events in the test namespace at the end of the test.
If it fails, right?
I think
Yeah.
if it fails.
Yeah.
And that has been helpful in
Yeah.
debugging test failures.
Yeah, it has been super helpful in debugging. So that was the main reason. But yeah, I will just do what we agree, and yeah, I would like to get this merged
All right.
kind of ASAP because it's blocking us. But yeah.
Yeah, if you can convince the framework guys, SIG testing, that this is reasonable as a short-term solution, I'm fine with that. I just really don't know what they think about this, or what I basically pointed out my concerns, and they may or may not be shared by SIG testing. I just don't know.
No. I agree with you on the framework thing. I'll make the change.
Okay.
And if you think that's fine, then maybe you can LGTM it, or we can wait for approval from SIG testing. I don't know.
I guess I do have approval rights in SIG testing, but I've not been involved in that area for a while now. So that's why I'm a bit reluctant to actually do that.
All right.
Yeah. If it looks reasonable, I can do it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Sounds good. Any other topics?
Oh, I just found that issue. I just put that in chat.
Okay.
I have a question about migration, because it's not correct on our boards, but it should be GA in 119. At least the cap says so. So is it going to GA?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Okay, cool.
It's not going GA in 119. We still have not really found a replacement for GABIG, so.
Okay, good.
Other open is storage capacity, the one cap that we discussed a few times in a design meeting. Michelle, you probably haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I was proposing perhaps some middle way forward, where basically my proposal is that we keep the current structure of the API, but change the top level object from the name of the top level object from CSI storage pool to CSI storage capacity, and avoid talking about pool as much as possible in the description of that cap. So basically refocus it entirely on its intended purpose, and do it in a way where from a technical perspective, think the granularity of the objects is correct. And then later on, if it turns out that this concept, that this object is also useful for other things, then we just rename it again. But only then. And in the meantime, we avoid exposing something that is still controversial.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. I think it would be still good to schedule another meeting to sort of discuss the use case that Shing is interested in, which seems like it's like exploring the concept of spreading the volumes across different failure domains. I think that's it's a use case that we've heard from a lot of different storage vendors, so I think it's good to explore.
I fully agree. I just don't want it to block the storage capacity cap. So if there's some way,
also don't want to just get those money and then immediately found it's really not working, because in the beginning we talked about we want to merge those two caps right before moving forward with the reviews. If it's not aligned, then we need to think about it, right? So
yeah,
I think we still
we have a deadline coming up, and the alternative
that is true. Yeah,
the alternative is to not do something in 119 at all, and keep discussing it. We'll have the same issue, and we'll not make progress. That's my biggest concern. Eventually, we have lots of questions around how does that scale, how usable is it. We can't answer that unless we agree on building something, and I'd really would like to get started with that in 119. Renaming it certainly is my plan B to get there. If we have a chance to keep the current name and move forward, that would be my preferred choice. But if that means being blocked on some well, I hesitate to call it tangential, but it's not directly a blocker for this functionality that I want to implement, then I'll certainly be open to renaming it.
Yeah, sounds good. I will go. We should all take a look. We should all take a look at the CAP, and let's still schedule a meeting to discuss the spreading use case as well, and see if we can find some sort of middle ground to support the two features.
Yeah. So are you guys? I was trying to think about a meeting time. Are you guys available like Friday, same time, the 9 a.m.?
I think preferably we should do it. We should do it earlier because the CAP deadline is next Tuesday.
That's true. How about Wednesday?
So
because I was
CAP deadline is this Thursday.
No, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, sorry.
The 19th.
Okay.
So how about let's try Wednesday at 9 a.m. Does that work for you guys?
That works.
Yeah, okay. It's okay.
All right. Sure. Let's schedule a meeting. Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about it. Yeah. I think I put some comments. I read your update. I think that name is still a little. Unequate capacity is a little weird, but we can talk about it. Yeah. I also want to see how that would work for this spreading use case for, let's say, if we use a group or something, right? So
for that purpose, it certainly wouldn't be the right name, but it would be at least something that you can work with. But yeah, if we still want to pull in additional use cases, we need a name that fits. The one that I proposed is really just for storage capacity tracking and nothing else. I've not made that name change in the CAP itself. I just added a comment proposing that this might be something that we do. So if you look at the current CAP, you will still see CSI storage pool and everything related to it. But I guess you can just do a mental translation and perhaps get an idea what it would look like otherwise. Michelle, I'm not sure when you last looked at this CAP. There's also this one thing that we discussed in the design meeting about identifying, and now I need to bring up the name pool again. Let's call it storage topology. You suggested that we could use the topology labels that are recorded for the node by the drivers. You remember that? And I think that only works for some drivers. If you think about a driver that actually has network attached storage and it has access to two different pools with different topology, what should the individual driver instance on a node report? It basically can't, because it can only report one topology for the node, and that's the response defined in the spec. That doesn't really tell us anything about the storage that is made available.
So this is you're talking about, this is where a storage system has some sort of topology that is not mapped to a Kubernetes node.
Yes, network attached storage. It might have data that is, for example, it might have one pool in one data center, another pool in a second data center, and then or one region in two regions, and then the data, the nodes might have more fine-grained topology.
Yeah, that isn't very well supported today.
Yeah, so my current wording in the CAP is that it proposes using the node information, but it also still has a section about the need to create a new CSI API call to identify or to cover these other cases. Just so
I
that
think
you know.
my main concern is that, like, exposing topology that Kubernetes doesn't really know about. Like, I'm not sure we want to do that, and we might want to keep that information sort of hidden at the driver level and below. Because Kubernetes only really cares about the Kubernetes topology.
Yeah, but that is related. I mean, it is the underlying topology of a CSI object, whether it's the node or the
Yeah.
storage. It still needs to map that.
I guess my
and
concern is that can we keep if a driver has topology that is not related to the Kubernetes topology, can we keep that knowledge at the driver level and below? Like, do we have to actually expose that in Kubernetes?
it would be redundant, I think, or we would have redundant objects if we report capacity per node when the storage actually is shared between nodes. So it would scale less well if we do it that way, compared to a solution where we know that the storage is shared between nodes and we only report it once.
I guess the notion I was thinking of is like if we and this was sort of the question I was trying to pose at the end of the meeting last Friday, was that is there an alternative way we can achieve the goal of spreading volumes across failure domains besides explicitly exposing the storage topology and layout to the end users, especially when the topology is not really of concern to Kubernetes?
So is this something that you think the working group might help with doing the
Potentially.
spreading? I was actually, okay, so we could maybe talk about this in Wednesday's meeting. I actually started looking at this, still not sure if this would work, but definitely can talk about this.
Yeah, because a potential concern is that SOD is exposing like storage system layout and internal layouts and implementations up to the users. That's the main concern.
Yeah, but if you are thinking storage is really important in running workloads, then we should think about,
but do we need to
looking at all of those as like first-class resources. Yeah, but it's talking. I mean, if we want to make really effective decisions on placement, then some of those maybe we do need to expose this. So maybe it is confusing if we talk about that in terms of topology. Maybe we should call this something else. So if we can achieve that a different way, not call that topology, then I think it's fine too. If even there is a way to get that to work, right? So we don't have to say mix that with topology. Maybe that's the confusion.
Maybe, yeah. So I think that would be an interesting angle to explore, and we should maybe try to see and kind of explore that in Wednesday's meeting.
Okay. All right. Okay, I will schedule that. Do you know if that time work for Sad as well?
Oh, I can try to check. Wednesday
9 a.m.
should work.
Okay.
That should work, but I would also just double check with him too.
Okay. So probably I would just take that out. Yes, I was asking as well, but at least let's take that time and then we can change it if it does not work. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Any other topics?
Oh, I do have that. Okay, sorry, I only have a couple minutes.
Issue.
Yeah, can you take a look? I just want to see if this is something that, are there any concerns on addressing this? I see some discussions and then there was nothing after that. So I'm not sure if we were actually talking about our group, that whether we should take this, if this is something, since we want this one to be fixed, but is there anyone already working on this, or are there any concerns on fixing this? So if it's,
I don't know anyone working on it.
Okay.
Let's see. I think.
So Jan has a comment.
I suggested that we reuse the finalizer that external attacher is already using, and making the external provisioner aware of it. I think, Jan, are you okay with that?
I think it should work.
Should work. Okay. We don't have any concerns about race conditions, right? Because I know that comes up a lot, like race conditions. We can't check this. So I just want to. This is not one of those things, right?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
The volume attachment exists as long as the volume is attached. When the volume attachment is removed, you can be 100% sure it's detached.
Okay. Okay, so I will take a look at that, and yeah, so we can take that if we know like how to fix it, and yeah, we can take it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you on Wednesday.
Yeah. See you.
Goodbye.
Bye, and okay.
Bye.